Sometimes it's bias, sometimes it's tilt, sometimes it's pandering, but it's something that journalism schools should be pondering seriously.
Minister Kent, I know that you're coming out to one of our plants in Banff where we take organic waste matter and we turn it into fertilizer and we sell it to the commercial market. We're a private company that does this. So what we're looking for, and maybe you can help us out, is we work with municipalities who have the same problem. We prevent a lot of waste from going to landfill. And there are municipalities across this country that have issues with landfill issues. I go around the countryside and I see, we don't want a dump, you see no dump sign. So my question would be to you as the minister, for the government, how can the government support private companies like ours who present viable, sustainable solutions to prevent landfill and to come up with a viable product that can be used in the commercial market, whether it's agriculture, whether it's creating biofuels? What funding or what support can be done by the government to not only help companies like mine, but also to help the municipalities who want to get to that step and they don't have the money to do it themselves? Sure.
Yeah, no, great question, and it's and congratulations to your company and companies like yours. Because the reality is there is a good business plan in recycling waste and using it again. That is the future. With regards to how the federal government can help, well, some of it comes down to when it comes down to the municipalities and the provincial governments, their own responsibility to recognize an opportunity to address issues that are the future. At the federal level, you know this, there are any number of federal green programs which assist in a variety of ways through the Canadian Sustainable Development Group with, I forget her name, we've dispensed about $500 million or $500 million over the last 5 years through this organization, and they use it to help startup companies grow to the point where they can fly on their own. And a couple of weeks ago, Joe Oliver and I were in Montreal, and we announced $61 million for 23 companies across Canada who were had a variety of projects to create clean coal on one hand, to address styrofoam, and we have a huge styrofoam problem in Canada in terms of styrofoam waste. All of these little things, and these are companies which will fly on their own. The federal government is looking increasingly at using incubator money to lift companies to the point, viable companies to the point where they can make it on their own, not just domestically but internationally. The SDTC has proven that they have a multiplier effect for the $500 million that they've distributed on our behalf over the last, I think, 5 years. They've had more than $2 billion in multiplier benefits. So we look at it very carefully. Gary Goodyear in FedDev is doing some of the same, looking, again, not just throwing money out the door, but doing really close analysis on prospects and making sure that money goes in with its bang for the buck.
We can take one question.
Sure, yeah. So there's a gentleman there, one here. We'll take yours too, so the last three
Just a
questions.
very quick comment. Sure. We have to acknowledge the hard work of our government, this minister in particular, in taking on same day as Suzuki and they've wrecked the seal hunt in the north, they've wrecked it on the Atlantic coast, they're going after corn harvest in the north. Can you see what they're doing on BC and Alberta? So keep up the good work. Having said that, there are some really honest, good environmentalists out there who are not taking advantage of our terrible status, ripping off Canadian taxpayers to pay for it. So keep up the good work, and it's going to take some time to do the work. Thank you.
Thank you. think Suzuki's probably the biggest polluter there is. Every time he opens his mouth. I'll take it.
Yes. My question is, there's a lot of extremely efficient work for the environment, but what is the government doing to educate people about pollution and prevent the problem from escalating? I've been here for only 3 years, so I haven't seen much, but I haven't seen like signs or anything that educate people about pollution and global warming.
Well, good. It's a good question. You know, I mean, Canadians sometimes take for granted the abundance of resources that we have in Canada. We use water on a per capita rate that's close to the highest usage in the world. You know, we take long showers. We don't use our gray water. We don't recycle on nearly the level that we should, although increasingly people are aware. And for example, we still have, and I'd be glad to see this change, we still have these huge hot water tanks in our basement that we keep at maximum operating temperature 24 hours a day, even though we only use that hot water for laundry, for household use, for showers, you know, for very brief periods. I'd like to see more people go to demand heaters of the sort that we see in Europe, where you turn on, in my house in Thornhill, we put it in a demand heater, and basically when you turn on the hot water tap, that's when the gas flares up and it heats very efficiently just the amount of water that you're using for that particular moment. And that some of these new demand heaters, although there's an upfront cost of about the same as a hot water heater, the gas companies won't rent them to you because that takes away from the gas consumption, minimizes gas consumption. But it works even in families where you've got 3 kids who like to take showers. But I think sooner or later, I mean, we've seen programs where people, you know, more water efficient toilets, you know, more efficient use of water in lawns, and using gray water for gardening, not just water that's been very expensively treated by the municipality. So I think awareness will grow, and certainly among school kids. The best way to improve environmental behavior in any Canadian household is to have a student in elementary school, because at that level they begin, you know, whether it's to get, and it worked in getting adults to quit smoking, it worked in a variety of ways in terms of better behavior at home and looking at labels and so forth. So, I mean, I'm confident that we'll respond, but you're quite right. Canada is, we addressed litter a couple of decades ago, and people, I mean, Canada is pretty good about littering, but there are a whole variety of other things. I mean, we treat cheap, and as expensive as gasoline is and diesel is today, it's still a fraction of the cost that Europeans are paying. So, and we take that for granted. And as long as the economy and the balance works, change will be slow. I just noticed, just one other little comment, and that, if that's the last question, I just noticed, and I was so touched earlier today, and I guess Sue has left.
She's just cleaning up.
Oh, she's cleaning up.
Yeah, somewhere.
But she touched my heart earlier today, and it's true of so many. Going back when I was reading the National back in the 70s, or working, and Sue came up and said, "I learned English because of listening to your newscast," which is so.
There's over there. Yeah.
Oh, there you are. That was very touching, and I've heard it before, but I've never heard it as well, as eloquently expressed as you did.
Thank you. It was quite a few months I didn't understand a word you're saying. I had to follow the story, you know.
She came to Canada from Quebec, so you got
Well, and now
You know,
I hear myself echoing back.
Yeah, it
through
was
you.
such an honor, you know.
Yeah.
So when I told you coming, I have to go and tell him my little story.
Well, that was very touching.
Long time, well, not that long, okay?
Well, no, if your daughter remembers, it can't be that
Yeah,
long.
well, I keep telling her, you know. No, it was such an honor, really, to watch you every day. Yeah.
Can we take one
Sure.
more? Yeah, just last one. Yeah.
Thanks, Minister. So happy to have you here. And I was wondering, under this tough economic condition, how the government of Canada balances the economic growth and environmental protection.
Good. Well, very good question. Well, the way that we're, first and foremost, we created a very large deficit to help Canada get through the recession. The Economic Action Plan, we invested in infrastructure for the most part to create jobs, to do things which needed to be done, but we rushed them forward and pulled them into that 2-year period, and spent about over $60 billion. But that did keep jobs going, that did keep companies going. We had a variety of tax programs to ensure that companies refitted and made themselves more competitive at a time when they may or may not have gone out of business. But what we didn't do is what previous governments have done and cut transfers to the provinces. We didn't cut health transfers to the provinces. We didn't cut education or social transfers to the provinces. What we have done is tried to reduce government spending and resize government, and not extremely. In my department, Environment Canada, and the agencies within Environment Canada, we're just over 5%, between 5 and 8%. But that represents significant savings, and not on the backs of people. And the what we call workforce adjustment within the public service has been, it is the most compassionate and gentle process. It's not nearly like the private sector when they say, we're going to downsize, there's the cut, there's the door. I mean, we've managed we've eliminated positions and we've eliminated cost, but we found, for most of the people affected, we found positions through departing or retiring workers. We found we've been able to place but the overwhelming majority of those people. So they're still working, but the size of government is significantly reduced. So we're doing it with taxes. We believe that lower taxes across the board, and we still encourage some of the provinces to get their taxes down, encourage investment, encourage spending, will actually speed the recovery. So, so far it's worked. I mean, the domestic media reports on our successes statistically,